All right. Good afternoon, almost evening. Happy Sunday, all. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Sandra Dennis, and I'm with Avanse Ansanm, and we're a movement for Haitian American millennials, young folks, Xers, boomers, everyone who wants to preserve culture and to build economic and political power in South Florida's Haitian community. I am honored to have such amazing guests with us. This evening, we have none other but Commissioner Nancy Mateer, who is a part of the Avanse Ansanm fam. She's a board member, and our special guest, Representative Marie Woodson, who we're super proud of, Mr. David Metalis, and Ms. Calibra, who's with Miramar Democrats. We're gonna have an awesome conversation because most people have stopped talking about elections after November, but we know that in South Florida, and all throughout the country, there's elections year round. And we know that there's so much power in what's happening locally, whether it's at the local level in the municipalities or at the state. And so we're actually going to start with brief introductions, and then we're going to turn it over to Representative Woodson to tell us what's going on in Tallahassee. I'm actually going to have we know you, Representative Woodson, but for sure want to give you the privilege to introduce yourself again to our amazing guests who are watching with us.
Good evening, everyone. Central, thank you so much for having me with Avanse Ansanm. Nancy Mateya, who is a very good Commissioner Mateya. Let me give you your title. You earn it, you work very hard for it. She's a good friend of mine as well in Calabria. Kay, all of us are here in this platform with our friend David Matelis. So I feel like I'm in the company of really good friends, family and friends. I'm Marie Woodson. I proudly represent District 101. As you know, was in a race where it was very challenging, but as a woman, as a strong Black woman, as we always identify ourselves, we always put 100% in everything that we undertake. And I had two very good candidates as well, but hey, someone had to win the race, and I happened to win it, and I managed to work for the resident of District 101. It's a pleasure for me to serve in the Florida legislature, and I will do my best to represent the people well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Representative Woodson. We can't wait to hear what you've been up to and the rest of your colleagues at the state has been up to. I'm sure it's very challenging right now. So give us all the real and the good details. We're going to turn it over to you, Ms. Calibra. Tell the folks all about you. We would love to hear from you.
Good evening, bonsoir, everyone. My name is Calibra Jacobs Reed. Everybody calls me Kay. I am the president of the Miramar Democratic Club and the chair of the Broward Democratic Party's Human Rights Committee. And basically my goal is to try to get everyone out there who is a Democrat to vote, to know about the issues in our community, to know who our elected representatives are, like the wonderful Representative Woodson, and our senators on the state level as well as a federal level, and also to bring our community back to the Democratic Party, right? And so that the Democratic Party can do a much better job of representing us, knowing our issues, and fighting for those issues. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And to David, a friend of ours, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell the folks what you're up to as well.
Peace and love, everybody. My name is David Ellis. I serve as the managing partner at Calvin Park Strategies. Really a community activist, somebody who I grew up in Broward County, grew up in South Florida, and I try to use all the skills and different things that I've learned throughout campaigns around the country to help serve my community in South Florida. I'm Haitian American, so those are that's what brings me here to this space. But broadly, I previously worked with I do work with Senator Chevron Jones. I currently serve as his political director, and I work on different campaigns. I'm up here in Philadelphia right now on a judicial campaign. So I'm glad to talk about my experience working on campaigns in Miramar and across South Florida and how we can continue to make a change on that front. And glad to be in the presence of such phenomenal folks as well. Santra, Calibra, Representative Woodson, like we were talking about before, who is working up a storm up there and making them feel her, and Commissioner Mateer, who's doing the same thing over in Coral Springs. So glad to be here with you all, and look forward to the discussion.
And thank you, David. We would be remiss to not congratulate you on all your wins this past electoral cycle. And so congratulations to you and all the hard work. You are quite humble. But every time we get a chance, we definitely want to shout you out and let folks know you are our go-to in our community. When you work, you win. And so we want to also shout you out for that. Thank you, David. Let's start with Ms. Woodson. Nancy, I'm actually Commissioner Nancy. Anything from you? Let folks know, share the live type stuff.
Yeah, so hi everyone, Commissioner Mateer, but on this capacity, I'm coming to you all as a board member. I'll be supporting Santra in this conversation. So if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop your questions in the chat. I'll be sure to read them, and I can't wait to hear what all of the folks on this call has to share. So I'm so glad to be here, and let's have a great convo.
Thank you, Nancy. Let's turn it over to Representative Woodson, who is in Tallahassee right now, actually just got back there. What's happening in Tallahassee? I know legislative session starts on Tuesday. What should we be waiting for? How can people engage even though it's COVID? We would love to hear from you, Representative Woodson.
Thank you so much, Santra. As you know, we've been up here for committee weeks, and this is my first time being up here. And of course, I have some big shoes to fill. I'm in the seat that Senator Jones used to occupy, and he has done a phenomenal job actually in the seat. And I intend to carry the legacy, to carry the work that he has been doing, and even add more because I'm my own person as well. So in Tallahassee, it's completely different than county government. As you know, I've worked in county government my entire career, but Tallahassee is a different ball game. But what I have been trying to do, you have to try to build relationship without compromising your values, actually. Because I'm not going to build a relationship and vote for certain things that I know that are against my belief, or things that the people who elected me would not want me to vote for. So we have been working very hard, actually. I've been placed in several committees, in subcommittees. I'm in the state affairs committees, which deals all state affairs, and also 4 subcommittees. One is technology and appropriation, children, families, and seniors, which you know, it's my background, actually. I spent an entire career working for that. I'm also in the secondary education and career development, and also veteran affairs. So all those issues are very dear to my heart, issues that you know that are issues in our community that we need to work and advocate for, and also bring down resources that we can. As you know, we have been impacted by COVID, and this year, it's going to be completely different than other years, even though I was in the state legislature before, but I have participated in the process somehow by working for county government or advocating for certain things. We have a big budget fall, actually, $2 billion budget fall. So we intend to still fight for what we need for our community. I'm not going to, just because of that, saying that I'm not going to, advocate or support legislation that I know will benefit the community. So we have been working very hard. I have some great colleagues that we're working with, and I'm trying to build relationships on both sides. On the Democratic side, because we do not have the numbers. We don't have the numbers on our side. So it's unfortunate that we don't, which is why I always value the work that you're doing, you, Kay, Nancy, and David, all of us in the community is doing, to make sure that we really put a good message out. We need to do better in messaging so we could put the right people in place so we can have the numbers in Tallahassee in order to get our legislation, our bill passed. I'm working on several pieces of legislation. One of them that I'm very proud of, that while campaigning, I talked to a lot of our seniors, and what I found out, a lot of those seniors, they get an addition, the ones on low income, on fixed income, they get an additional exemption every year. However, the process to get it is very cumbersome. in the sense that a lot of them end up, more than 50% end up losing that exemption because they have to submit the paperwork over again. And a lot of the seniors, they don't have access to a computer, or they're not computer literate, or they forget. So I'm introducing a piece of legislation to allow the seniors to only complete the paperwork once. Because if you're on fixed income, why would you have to do it every year? So allow the seniors to do it once, and they will only have to submit additional paperwork if they come into some big, money, which is not really possible. When you're in fixed income, they might get an additional dollar extra and an additional dollar increase, but not really money. So this one, I hope this piece of legislation could pass because it will benefit everybody in the state of Florida. So this is one of them. Another one that I'm working on is one that has to do with DACA. I'm going to go to them quick because I know I'm not the only panelist. One on DACA to allow the deferred action for childhood referral, to allow them to pay the same fee as Florida residents, because they, first of all, they are trying to better themselves. They came here as children. The parents brought them here. So why would they have to pay more money than the Florida residents, especially when they've been here for a long time? So I'll pick up that one. I'm introducing that one in the House as well. Then another one that I have, because of COVID, COVID has impacted the small businesses a lot, and they make up a good portion of our economic growth. So what I found out, a lot of the small businesses that are surviving, that are thriving, are those with an online presence. The one who don't have an online presence, they're closing the door or they folding. So I'm proposing that we give a $2,500 one time to those small businesses to allow them to build a website, for them also to get an educational piece in there, because a lot of them don't know anything about a website. So there would be some money allocated for the education piece, building the website, as well as manning the website as well, in order for them to be competitive or to remain open. So, and as well, mental health is one of the things that I campaign on. I'm proposing a piece of legislation for the school system and other entities to have a comprehensive program for children for high schoolers, actually, when they go dealing with mental health or anxiety or any type of issues, instead of calling the police, for us to put a team together of psychologists, therapists, social workers, which is very important, also to deal with the whole dynamic of the family members and so forth and so on. So I have a lot of bills. I have 7 bills, actually, we have to file. We used to have 6, now we are allowed to file 7. So I have 7 pieces of legislation that I will be introducing, and several others that I will be sponsoring as well, co-sponsoring as well. I don't want to talk about all of them because I know we don't have a lot of time, but this is the work that we are doing. And I've been very busy as well, bringing the vaccines to our seniors in the community. I have done 3 drives so far in the district where the seniors were very happy because they didn't have to wait in line for so long. And we know it's a life and death situation. So I'm very engaged as well while I'm up here in Tallahassee doing the work that I was elected to do. So this is what I've been elected. I'm going to fight for what we need, and hopefully we will make our district and the state of Florida a better state.
My God, my God. I mean, listen, y'all have to vote for people who are going to work for y'all, who is going to remember their campaign promises, right? Like, who's going to actually, legislate, right? And so this is super exciting, Representative Woodson. We are super excited, super proud of you as well. You represent us well. I got chills because I think that to say that you have 7 pieces that you're going to put up, bills that you're going to put up, that is amazing. That's not everyone. Let's not get it twisted. That is not everyone. Everyone's not going to do that. And so to have someone that's going to champion their community and also legislate, that's amazing. And we're super happy that you're also accessible, that you're here with us tonight, even if you just drove to Tallahassee. That's amazing. I'll pause here because I know you have to run because your personal life is important too. So I'm going to ask Calibra, Nancy, if y'all have any questions for Representative Woodson to ask now, and then we're going to let you go take care of your personal life. And go ahead.
So there is
one thing before they ask me the question, Centra. I would say that I was so excited to see Nancy win that seat because I believe that she is an amazing, a fantastic, a dynamic person who's doing a great job in Cold Springs. And I cannot wait, Centra, to see you in office. Let me tell you something. You're a powerhouse. You're a fire. I'm telling you, you have the fire in you to really come and advocate for your people, bring the resources that they need for our people. So you are one person that I cannot wait to see you in office. And I will, I'm so proud of the work that you are doing, even though you're not in office, because we don't really just work because we're in office. This is in our DNA. So I'm so proud of you. And girl, I cannot wait.
So I'm so happy that you're with us tonight. Rep Woodson, so I have a question from the chat. It says, as a small business owner in preparation of the wage increase going into effect this September, will there be a focus on supporting minority business owners to make this change, i.e. business tax credits for small businesses or grants to help bridge us during this time? This change will force us to reconstruct the compensation across our entire labor pool.
Definitely, definitely. That's a very good question. And tell you the truth, we are working on that to see what other type of incentive that we can provide to the small businesses in order for them to start. Because remember, the increase is not going to happen at once. It's going to be done by increment. So in the meantime, yes, we will be working on incentive for the small businesses and see how we can help them in order to meet that demand that's going to be put upon them. As well, one thing that small businesses need to remember as well, I want you to remember this, by paying the people more money, and it's not even a lot more money. This is not even, it's really hard for our families to make it on the current minimum wage. If you pay people more money, they end up spending more money and the economy, everybody end up making more money. As a small business, you will also benefit from it by paying your people more. Definitely, we have pieces of legislation targeted at giving the small businesses some incentive and tools in order for them to be able to pay that minimum wage increase. So yes, it's a very good question. We're working with you, and I have other people who have bills to sponsor for the small businesses, and I will do the same thing. I would support anything to benefit the small businesses.
Thank you for that. Actually this morning on the VSS hour, we were talking about who, when people wanted more wages, some of the folks who are the biggest offenders who don't want to pay folks are large corporations. And it's not usually the small businesses. We found that small businesses usually want to do right by their folks.
They do.
And I appreciate that, Representative Woodson, that I know the legislation, the folks that we have in place want to find a way to help support small businesses get there, because we know they want to do the right thing. They want to make sure that the people that they employ, who are overwhelmingly the communities that they are in, also have an opportunity to thrive in this economy.
I agree with you, and it goes back again to electing people who believe on doing what's right by the people, because as we see, the administration that we have in place at the national level, at the state level, they're trying to give more money, more tax cut to the big corporations who are making more money as it is, and they're not paying any taxes. They're imposing more taxes on the little ones while they should not be the one paying taxes. So the system is messed up in a way, but guess what? When you elect the wrong people in office, that's what happened. So we have to get up. We have to start campaigning, not campaigning. We have to start really making people aware of how important it is, educate people on the importance of voting, and voting as well for the right people in order for us to have the numbers to do what's right when we have to vote on certain issues.
Thank you. I'm going to go to you, Calibra.
Oh, thank you. Representative Woodson, I'm so glad that you mentioned, first of all, thank you for what you've been doing for the community as far as the COVID testing. I'm going to be honest, it was very hard for even my mother to get tested and to get the vaccine and all that for COVID. She has gotten it, but it was because of efforts that you and Senator Jones and Representative Dotsie Joseph did that she was able to get it. And I just cannot thank you enough for that. Now, the question I got from one of my members who lives in historic Miramar, she said, will there be some efforts to lower the age limit for the vaccines that are now going on in Broward. I know you just had one on Friday. I can't thank you enough, but that was 65 plus. And Dade is now saying they have some 55. I think they even advertise 18 years old with a medical issue. Will we see that in Broward as well?
Okay, that's a very good question. And as well, I thank you as well for the work that you have done. You are one person who does a lot of work, but you don't tune your own horn. You're doing it because you care about your community, and I'm very grateful and thankful to you as well. And God knows we need more women in office. I keep telling you all, identify the seat that you all want to go for and start doing, well, you can, everybody's campaigning, because when you're doing the work, you don't even realize that you are really campaigning, but you are. In regard to your question, as far as lowering the age limit, yes, it broke my heart. We did two vaccination drives this week, one on Thursday and one on Friday, where I fought really to get 1,000 vaccines this time. We had 500. I've been working, I have to say I'm grateful to the Office of Emergency Management who have been working with me in order to give me that allocation for our seniors in the district. And it broke my heart. So many people came, they were under 65. They had special conditions, and we could not give them the vaccine, even though we had additional vaccine left. And you know why? Because of the executive order that the governor had. I understand you can have an executive order, but if we have vaccine where we have people with special conditions, I felt we should be able to give the vaccine to the people. But what I understand is going to happen, there's one that he's going to be signing soon. And we hoping this is what's going to happen within the next 2 weeks, I understand. Don't quote me on it. We're hearing it. And I even tell you the truth, I even worked last week with our speakers. I asked for his help to help me to really get that information as far as vaccinating 55 and up. And I've been fighting for our teachers. I felt like our teachers going back to the classroom, they need to be vaccinated. We're putting them in front of kids. Okay, let's just say the teacher has it. It would pass it on to the kids and it would go home to the parents. If the kids come from home with it, then our teacher's going to get sick. Who's going to teach those kids? It's very critical that we should have had our teachers vaccinated before we put them in the classroom. That's one. Our police officers, they were helping us with the drive, okay? We could not we could not give them the vaccines. So I'm fighting for everyone to get this vaccine. And hopefully now with President Biden plan to bring more vaccine, and we just got the Johnson & Johnson approved. And I understand this one, you only need to get one dosage as opposed to two. So let's continue to fight in order to get our nation vaccinated. This is the bottom line. We don't want to see any more death. We reached 500,000 people who died as a result of, it's really crazy what's going on. And you know why? Because we did not have a plan in place. We should have had a better plan in place to address this thing. And even the former president, he did not address it the way that we should have addressed this major issue. We're paying the price, but now it's not too late. We need to do what we need to do to get people vaccinated. That's the bottom line.
Thank you so much, Representative Woodson, for spending your day with us, your afternoon with us. We know you're super busy. There's so much that we can talk about in terms of what's happening in Tallahassee. We know there's a COVID liability bill that's passing through. We know there is an anti-protest bill that's passing through.
HB1. Believe me, we're ready for it too. We're ready for that one. Because
there's so much happening. And you said, I want you to also remind us, what did you think? What did you say the budget shortfall will be?
Well, it's $2 billion that is supposed to be. Billion, not million, $1 billion that it's supposed to be. So we don't know exactly. My hope is that we don't have to cut any essential programs, especially programs to benefit our families. Because tell you the truth, the need is so great now, and with COVID, it's even worse. I'm finding out one thing I'm fighting for to bring some resources. I'm finding out Miami, Broward College, FIU, they have a lot of homeless children, and the numbers have gone up as a result of COVID. Now you are in college, you're trying to better yourself. You don't have a place to stay. So I'm working with a lot of entities to see how we can help those kids. Maybe next year, because I don't have any more spot left, I would introduce a piece of legislation, but instead of waiting for next year, I had 2 meetings already to see how we can start best addressing those issues for those college students. So yes, it's a lot, but guess what? We are in it. People elected us to do a job. That's what I tell people. I don't care what I have to do. Just like you, there's no time you, Nancy, K, David doing it too. If you all call on me, I will be there no matter what, because we are in this together. It's not getting the seat and you don't know about, no. I'm here to do the job, and that's what I intend to do.
Thank you so much, Representative Woodson. We're super happy. Go ahead, Nancy.
So before you leave, Rep Woodson, some folks want to know how can they reach you? Can you share your contact information? And if you have any virtual office hours, can you share that information with them?
Sure, definitely. Actually, we opening our office. We had some issues with space with the local office. The one in Tallahassee is already open, but the local one, which I know the residents and everybody else want to reach me, is going to be at the Broward College, located at 7300 Pines Boulevard, the one right on Pine in South Broward. That's where it's going to be. And I would give my email is marie.woodson@myfloridahouse.gov. Again, it's Marie, Marie.woodson@myfloridahouse.gov. And the phone number is 954-965-3700. We have 954-965-3700. We have had a lot of cases, unemployment cases that we have been able to address. A lot of people are calling me, the system locking them out. They cannot process their cases. So I am working while I'm here. We have solved a lot of those cases, also SSI cases, even people who receive bill for memorial that they felt they shouldn't have gotten the bill. I was so glad that we are able to address a lot of them. So we are very busy, and we're telling people we are there for them. Phone number again, 954-965-3700.
You
Thank
better
you.
work. You better work. You are working. That's right. Thank you so
Just
much
like you.
You make us so proud. You make us so proud.
Thank you so much. And I'm so proud of you all as well. Let's do this. Let's get them. David, it's women time now. Okay, no, I'm just kidding, David. We're with you.
Hey, no problem. No problem.
We are just joking. You know, we're just joking with you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the work that you're all doing, guys. Let's keep on working for the betterment of our people.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your evening, and happy birthday again, Mr. Woodson.
I will tell Mr. Woodson he's getting ready so we can take him out. Thank you so much for having me, okay?
No problem.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to turn it over to you, Calibra. Let's talk about Miramar. So we were in Tallahassee.
Yes.
7-8 hours away. We're going to bring it back home. There is elections on Tuesday, March 9th. We want to remind the folks that elections happen on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Tuesdays.
Elections are on Tuesdays. It's called Super Tuesday. Yes. So, again, thank you and Nancy for having me here tonight. I'm so blessed to be here and so thankful for, number one, everything you guys do for our community. And two, this is just one piece of bringing it, but to tell all of my members and constituents, you guys they're here year round, working really hard. And, we need to make sure we also support groups like yours, because you guys do the service, you bring the information, you bring a presence, and you bring a voice. You bring a voice to many people who have not previously had a voice or a place in this process. And, again, being a representative of the Miramar Democratic Club and the Democratic Party, I want to thank you, because it is so important that people speak up. Unfortunately, sometimes the party's so big, right? And so if you don't have a voice, you get lost. And I want to really thank you ladies for doing that. But let's jump into what is coming in Miramar. So first thing I have to talk about is this election. I have been speaking to so many people who, number one, don't realize it is March 9th, the 9th of March, le 9 mars, whatever I need to say, I need you to know it is on March 9th. You've got to make sure that you vote. Now, this is a little bit different, you all. In the past, you have seen me at the Miramar Library We will not be there this year. There is no early voting. There is no early voting. You cannot go to the Miramar Library to vote. And so that really leaves you with two choices. Number one is your mail-in ballot. Those were mailed out about 3 weeks ago. So if you were already on the list or you requested one, you will have received it by now. Check your mail. If you didn't, you can still call the supervisor of elections and see what they can do about getting you a ballot. Your second option is to go and vote in person on March the 9th, right? Le 9 mars. Let me see, can I say it in Spanish? I'll have to think about it. But I just want to make sure you know, so many of us, including myself, always, you know, I'm a teacher, I'm off on the weekends, so I love early voting because I can just, you know, get someone to watch the kids go stand in line, not stressful at all. We do not have that opportunity this year. Of course, as you heard what Mrs. Woodson said, because of COVID, there have been so many cutbacks in so many areas. And unfortunately, you know, that also affected the supervisor of elections office, and voting and being able to provide that service was just not a possibility this year. And so I'm counting on all of you to do your research. If you have not received my newsletter for NDC, you can go to our website, miramardemocraticclub.com, to find out who all of the Democratic candidates are. But most importantly, you need to make sure your vote is your voice. And so make your voice heard. There's issues in Miramar, and there's much to tell about Miramar. We are a phenomenal city, right? And it is a beautiful city. It is a lively, vibrant city. One of the things I'm most proud about in Miramar is that I do believe our city government does a good job of trying to represent all people and celebrate all cultures. And whether it's just kids or religious holidays or cultural festivals, we really try to make sure that everybody has a sense of belonging. Excuse me. But there's some concerns. And, you know, in historic Miramar, there's some issues with the restoration of trees and some water issues. I'm sorry, I should have brought a water. I'm getting parched.
Feel free to pause. Feel free to pause if you need to.
Okay, thank you. The COVID vaccine issue was definitely an issue because, and I'm so glad that Rep. Woodson addressed it, we don't want to have our residents travel to Dade County to take advantage of the opportunities there. So anything that we can do to help Representative Woodson, and anything that I can personally do to help her with that, it would be so appreciated, because we do have some seniors and some low-income citizens who also don't have transportation. Along those lines, with COVID and the vaccine and the pandemic and the aftermath of it, food distributions. And I know several groups have been working with that. Now, I will be honest, Miramar is one of the few cities who continues to have food distribution weekly. And so that is really something to be proud of, and to, again, thank our city government. However, it is on the west side. And, you know, Miramar is, if you've ever driven Miramar Parkway, honey, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you know that it takes some time. And so we do have many citizens who are limited on their transportation availability. And we're looking into working with different organizations to try to get some supplemental or supportive food drives on the east side of town. And so that's really it. You know, it was exciting to talk to the citizens and really ask them what are their issues. But I will tell you what was more exciting is, you know, for every one person who brought me a concern, there were 5 that just couldn't think of anything. You know, they were very happy with the work that our sanitation department is doing. They're very happy with the fact that the city commission is feeding seniors and bringing, you know, food to many of our seniors. As I said, many people mentioned the various holidays and celebrations. So, you know, Miramar is an amazing place to live. And, you know, make sure that on March 9th, you vote your concerns. Make sure that you do your homework and look and find which person is best for you and your family, And anything that I can do to help with that, I will put our information in the chat if anyone has questions, but I'm gonna leave it at that, and we're here for you, Miramar Democratic Club.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Libra. Some of the things I actually spent part of my early life in Melrose Park, Fort Lauderdale, and then when I became a junior, in high school, I moved out to Miramar. And so I have love for Miramar. My family still resides in Miramar, tons of cousins who live in Miramar. And so I did a little bit listening too. I want to kind of also lift up what's happened. So you mentioned a little bit about development. My family lives on 178th in Miramar, and so which would be considered the west side. Lots of development, and historical Miramar, which is, I would say, let's say Palm and East, right? Perhaps east of Flamingo, perhaps east of Dykes. You know, folks have been really talking about predominantly Black, predominantly Afro-Caribbean representation, while the West Side is really affluent, lots of Latinx folks. You really haven't seen that kind of focus on development on the East Side, even with a all Black commission. And so folks really want to see that that equitable development can be done on the East Side. We've also heard in terms of issues or concerns, a sewer issue. And I know that Nancy, as it relates to the environment, Fort Lauderdale has some issues with their sewer. We know that it's come up in Miramar as well. And I can't really speak too much about it, just from folks that I've talked to, they've mentioned it. The other thing about bids for small businesses, right? There's a lot of moms and pops. And I think a lot of Caribbean restaurants in Miramar, like small Jamaican, Haitian, bakeries, you know, barbershops, you name it, you can find it in Miramar. And the opportunity for them to really grow their business and also to stay viable during COVID-19. And so really want a commission that will respond to them in that way. And that doesn't mean that there hasn't been a response. It's just that this is coming up as a priority for them. The last thing that might be a little bit shocking is that folks have said that there's been a lot of money spent in terms of the budget responding to settlements because of lawsuits, right? And so I'm not in Miramar business. I don't live in Miramar, but I definitely want to name that because some folks have mentioned that. And so again, as we talk about budgets really being stretched thin, how you can have a commission that understands how to mitigate and try to assure that there's as little issues in terms of lawsuits as possible. Miramar is a huge city, very, I would say in terms of, for me as a Black and also Haitian woman, to see an all Black commission, to see also representative immigrants is something that you really would admire. Also want to make sure that folks feel heard. And so I wanted to mention that as well, as folks are really going to the booth on March 9th, that they take their issues and that they do the research on the candidates that will best respond to the needs that they have. And I'll pause here to see if there's any comments from David, Nancy, and Calibra as well. I saw you come off mute. Go ahead.
Yes, Sandra, you know, I'm so glad that you brought those up because I heard that resonated also when I talked to residents. And we definitely have issues with the sewers, and I know the city's working on that, and I liken that to, I bought a house that was 14 years old, and when I bought it, they told me, like, you know, that roof's gonna go, right? Because I mean, it's just a matter of the infrastructure won't always last. And I think that is, as Nancy knows, the same thing we're seeing in Fort Lauderdale. So I do know the city's working on it, but there is still additional work to be done because you're really redoing an infrastructure that is, you know, I don't know how many years old. Excuse me. With small businesses, I think that's really important because it is the heart of our community. And we even have a lot of, you know, Black professionals, like you said, wonderful cultural restaurants that, you know, I love to go to. I think it's really important that we work to make sure we support those businesses because I'm lucky I'm able to take, you know, have a Black doctor or take my kids to it. You know, that is not just also the business, That is supporting a culture and making sure that my two boys see a Black professional and have a relationship with it and have always known a Black professional as their doctor or dentist or whatever. And so I think that culturally, as well as supporting our community, we have to also support our culture because, it extends into our children. The one thing that I did note, Sandra, and I cannot emphasize enough, as I was talking to people, I got the sense that they didn't realize they can call their commissioners. And these very issues that you're saying to me, they absolutely should be calling their commissioner, and their commissioner is any commissioner. In Miramar, every commissioner represents everybody. They do have districts, but everyone is open. You have to hold people's feet to the fire. You have to make your issue known. And even with Representative Whitson, I encourage our community to do that. And I know culturally that is very different, right? With the Haitian culture and Jamaican culture, when you're in a home country, that's not necessarily something you do. And so we also have to get the word out that here, no, you want to make that call. You want to make your voice be heard. So thank you for mentioning that.
I'm so happy you mentioned that last part because that is the very reason why Avanse Ansanm exists, is that we understand that democracy looks different from country to country, and your experience with democracy might be a traumatic experience. And so there might be fear in engaging with the government. And so we have to remind our community all the time, your tax dollars, pay them. That means they work for you, right? And so like, if you have issues, Commissioner Nancy's still with us. She works for the residents of Coral Springs. And it's her duty to be responsive to them, to make sure that their needs are met, and that she can bring it to the rest of her colleagues on the commission to make sure that Coral Springs is a place for everyone. And so just again, I don't think we can say that enough. We are also, I want to turn to David really quickly because I know we're running out of time, but David, who's running? I can share my screen as well, David, if that's helpful. Who's running in Miramar? Thank you, Calibra, because I did not realize that there will not be any early voting.
Okay.
And so Coconut Creek and Miramar are two places that we're watching because they have larger Haitian demographics as well, but Deerfield, Hillsborough, and there are other districts, municipalities that are voting as well on March 9th, but there will not be any early voting. We'll be sure to share that out as well. But David, if you can tell us who's running, and we're not endorsing anyone. We just want folks to know these are the folks who are running, and then they can do the research on them as well. Go ahead, David.
Certainly. So you have 3 seats that are up, and as Cleaver said before, it is splitting up. It is split up by seats, but everybody represents the entire city. And so you'll see all of these folks. If you're voting in Miramar, you'll see all of these people on your ballot. So Commission Seat 1, it is currently held by Commissioner Maxwell Chambers. He is the current commissioner. He was elected, I believe, in 2016, and he is being challenged by Christopher Koval. Chris Koval, as he'll appear on your ballot, he's a local businessman. And he's a local businessman. He owns a printing business. So he prints a magazine in the city and throughout Broward County. And so those are the 2 people that are running for Commission Seat 1. And then you also have Carrie Ann Nesbeth, who is a young woman who lives in the city, Jamaican woman who's very, very intelligent, very impressive, somebody that I recommend everybody go look up, who is running on a platform of transparency and really making sure that the city of Miramar is a leader for the future. As you all said, it is an all-Black commission. Miramar is a majority minority city. And so having a city that fosters the future candidates is very important. And so I know I can say my little 2 cents on that one right there. And then you've got Commissioner.
David, we did not ask you for your 2 cents.
Commission seat 2, you've got Yvette Colburn, who is the current commissioner. She is the incumbent. And she is, I mean, if you live in Miramar, you know who Commissioner Colburn is. She's everywhere. Very great person. And then you have Darlene Riggs, who is a former commissioner, who is looking to serve on the commission again. C3, which is who, once again, if you live in Miramar, you know who Commissioner Barnes is. He is, here you go, right here. He is a radio host, and he is a long-time commissioner. You have Val Glenister, another young person who is running in Miramar, somebody who represents the future for Miramar as well overall. And then you have Sylvia Granberry, who is another candidate in Miramar. And then you have Lixon Nelson and Mary Tomlinson in Commission C3. So those are the candidates in Miramar, and no more narration from me. And I hope that was informative.
That was super informative.
If I can interject super quickly, Sandra, we do have a message, a question in the chat for Calibra. It says, other than the upcoming elections, what other events, meetings, organizations should Miramar residents get involved in?
Well, absolutely, you need to get involved in the Miramar Democratic Club. And you know, we do meet online once a month on Facebook. Prior to that, though, what I pride myself on is that we met monthly, and we brought the electeds to the people. And so, Nancy, we've had the pleasure of having Commissioner Mateer as one of our speakers to come and speak about the environment. But you know, it's so important, again, that you have the opportunity. And what, you know, a lot of people are working, don't have time, and maybe are not comfortable enough to just go to City Hall and make an appointment and speak with their commissioner. So this is a very informal setting. And, you know, we come, we bring food, and we allow you to have the opportunity to bring your personal issues, to talk to a commissioner, to talk to your senator, to talk to a local leader, to talk to a children's advocate, your school board. And so our job is to bring the people to the leaders, and bring the leaders to the community. We have a family fun day once a year. We do have a ball in case anyone wants to get dressed up. But this is all, you know, and we get down with some wings on, you know, and brew too. So we try to put a little bit for everybody. So I would absolutely encourage you to get involved in Miramar Democratic Club. And then in addition to that, there's so many other entities within the city of Miramar. You have, you know, the city commission has committees if you're interested in getting involved on specific issues like education, or, I don't know, other issues, but yeah, or the environment even. There are so many different things you can do. I would encourage you to start with our miramar.gov website and check there. And then go to our website, of course, and check there, or you can visit us on Facebook or Instagram. But there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of fun. We're trying to hold it down during COVID and keep a presence, but absolutely, when COVID is over, ladies, we got to get together and throw a big community party, because I think all of us can't wait to get outside and have a good time.
Thank you for that, Calibra.
You're
I mean,
welcome.
we know people are exhausted. They're tired of the Zooms, but we know we have to continue to do it, because this is going to reach somebody. They're going to remember. They may have not even known that election is March 9th. And so we're going to remind folks that election is March 9th, that there are many candidates in Miramar, and everyone votes on everyone, like you all said. And so Commissioner represents everyone in Miramar. And so check your folks out, know who you want to vote for, making sure that Miramar is a reflection of the people who are there, but also that you're voting for people who have your values, similar values, but also will represent you all and work hard, just like Representative Woodson, right? And just really quickly to wrap up on the state, so much is happening in the state. There's an anti-protest bill. There's COVID liability bills. There's so much that's going to impact us this year. Representative Woodson also talked about the shortfall of the budget. Where are they going to cut to make the budget, to balance the budget? And so these are all things that we can't go to sleep on. We got to keep vigilant. We got to keep watching, and we have to keep voting in every election. And so I'm going to turn it off to Nancy, Calibra, and David for final thoughts, and it's going to be a wrap. Let's start with you, Nancy, go ahead.
Yes, so want to say thank you to everybody who was watching and our special guests, Rep. Woodson, Calibra, and David for being on today. Also want to remind folks that there's not only elections in Miramar, but there are also elections in Coconut Creek on March 9th, and there is no early voting. You have to ensure that you either vote by mail or you go into your designated precinct. So you should go and check your precinct. It may change or may not have changed. Also want to remind folks the same thing for Deerfield Beach. There is an election, so please definitely check those. If you live in those areas, please definitely check. Download a sample ballot because you want to make sure that you're prepared when you go to your booth.
Thank you, Commissioner
Sandra.
Mateer. Calibra, we'll go to you.
I again want to thank Avanse Ansanm for having me here tonight. Sandra and Nancy, you ladies are amazing. You are a gem for the community, and I cannot thank you enough. As a French teacher, I will be in touch because you are also mentors to our children, and having this presence and having this role means so much to my young Haitian girls in my classes and in our Black Student Union. So thank you. It really means a lot. You guys are phenomenal. To the viewers, I guess as a parting thought, I would say your voice matters, your vote matters. As Rep. Woodson said, there's $2 million that needs to be cut out of the budget this year. And whoever is quiet gets the cut. More than ever, we must be the loudest voice because our community has always been overlooked. And that is going to stop, and that is going to change. And we're going to be loud, we're going to be proud, and we're going to be represented. We are so lucky to have Representative Woodson there and Senator Jones. Make sure they hear from you. Make sure they know what you need. I hate to say it, but Sandra was shaking her head. Unfortunately, that's how politics works. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. And so we got to squeak, people. We got to squeak. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Calibra. It was so great partnering with you. And yes, we're going to be loud. We're going to vote at every election. And I'm definitely down to mentor, but not for French. Because we all struggle through our French 1, 2, and 3 class. Let's turn to David.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra, for having me. And thank you for your leadership on this issue, on making sure that the community is educated. It was a joy Representative Woodson is doing and all the work that the Miramar Democratic Party. What is important is that what everybody talked about is that you all stay engaged on these issues. When you get somebody in office, like Calibra said, you can give them a call. What are they going to be helping you? Because that's what they want. That's what they are there for, and that's what they're scared that you're actually going to ask them to do. Are you going to ask them to do what they said they're going to do? Are you going to hold them to account for what they promised on the campaign trail? Everybody makes promises.
We're losing you a little bit, David, but I think I could end your
sentence. What it is that they're going to do to get your vote. But what are they going to, how often do folks deliver? Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, sorry about that. My internet has been really bad up here. There's some bad weather. So I just wanted to say, make sure that you're holding your elected officials accountable for what it is that they're promising you. You can call them. Their phone numbers are available everywhere online. And so just make sure that you stay engaged and get what you're supposed to get out of the government that you vote for. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you, Sandra and Nancy, for your leadership.
Thank you, David, and keep winning. We see you. Thank y'all everyone for joining us. Thank you to our special guests. We hope you all have a great rest of your evening. It's a wrap. Vote on March 9th. Stay involved. In Creole, we like, rete vigilant, nous pas dormir, right? And then our next event will be on March 12th. We're going to be talking about what's happening in Haiti. So you don't want to miss it. Follow us on all of our social media so that you can get more information about that event. Thank y'all so much. Have a great rest of your evening. Good night.
Thanks all.